Okay, so looks like we're all set. So great. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Rosalie and Anna, for joining us today from Linn University. And good evening to all of you. Actually, good morning to Rosalie and Anna, and good evening to all of you joining from across India for this very interesting webinar on how to write the college supplement essay. So before we get going, a little bit about Next Genius. So Next Genius is a registered charitable trust in India, and we help students with scholarships for their undergraduate education in the US. Lin University is also a Next Genius partner. And if you wish to learn more about us and to learn more about Lin University, do wait till the end of the webinar where Rosa will talk about Lin University briefly. And yeah, so without any further ado, I pass on the control to you, Rosa. Welcome.
Fantastic. Thank you, Devesh. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rosalie Saladzius, as he had said, with Linn University. I'm coming to you guys with about 10 years of experience in all of this world. I started for my years on the high school side, and then I made the transition over to working for universities and their admissions department. I spent the last 6 years in California in the Silicon Valley, and made my way to tropical paradise in South Florida. So today we are going to talk a little bit about the college supplements and hopefully demystify a bit of this process for you, and hopefully when you go to make your plan of attack, you can do that in the most successful way. So I'm going to share my screen now. Just give me 1 second here. Okay.
It's on YouTube, live on it.
All right, great. And hide this. Okay. All right, Anna, can you just let me know if we are okay? Can you see everything?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah,
Fantastic. All right, we'll get started then. Okay, so the CommonApp supplemental essays are an excellent opportunity for applicants to express themselves beyond their basic application. So the essays are generally about why the university, why the major, how the specific university could help you achieve your long-term goals. For each college that you apply to via the CommonApp, you're going to need to create a supplemental essay that answers the school's specific questions. And you want to do that in a way that's going to showcase your talents and tell them a story that demonstrates how you are a unique fit for that particular program and institution. So I want to start with this first one, which I think is arguably the most important, is are they really optional? So optional in this case does not mean optional. If you are going to put your best foot forward when applying to university and would like your best chances of being offered admission, I highly, highly encourage you to always answer the college supplement questions. Regardless of if it says optional, this is something that you need to be doing. The next thing is to do your research. So before you begin drafting your response, really dive deep, not only into the website, but join the university's social media. So find them on Instagram, Facebook, really get a sense of the ethos of the university. If there's a program that you're particularly interested in, see if there's a virtual information session that you can attend maybe before you even start doing this. The more informed you are, the better off you'll be. I think what I too frequently get is students who will tell me somehow about my location, and that's great. But I live here, I know my location, and I think that the university, many have a heartbeat that extends much further than just their location in the United States. So really do your research before you start answering these questions. Completing the writing supplements is, in fact, one of the best ways to really demonstrate your interest. As a university counselor, there's many times where I will jump ahead to the college writing supplement essays just to see, have you answered it? Have you answered it in a way that demonstrates real interest, that you've done some research, that you've taken the time to maybe communicate with a faculty member, an admissions counselor, a current student like Anna, who's joining me today. So I think the personal essay, or excuse me, the writing supplement essay is something where if it's very brief, if it's very generic, it tells me that I'm one of many institutions that you're applying to. You may not be very serious. You may not be very interested. It could be that maybe mom or dad are encouraging you to apply. And so I think that this answer is something that you really should not overlook, because I think it is very indicative of your interest in the institution, at least on our side of the desk, excuse me, when we're sitting in committee and we're reviewing files, this tends to be one of the first things that we will look at. So next is finding new things to say. So throughout your application, you've given them your general information, and then you've done your personal essay where you focused on one sort of topic. But this supplemental essay is a chance to go beyond the general traits covered throughout that sort of piece. So a good brainstorming strategy for your supplemental essays is to write a new list of topics that you haven't already covered. You can finally maybe mention your civic service record. You can maybe talk about, I don't know, an app that you've developed, some research that you've done, but be sure that you are answering the question, but just it's a good opportunity to tie in something else that you haven't had a lot of time to elaborate on, another piece of you that's very important, because you're obviously not just a one-dimensional being. Just be sure to answer that question and see if you can tie in something else that's exciting that you want us to know. Next is the word count. So most supplemental essays will hover around 500 words. Be sure to follow each school's minimum and maximum word requirements, or you'll risk without your essay going red. So if it's very short, then that's something where we may not even read it because it's already telling enough. The word count, so if it is 500, I would recommend, it doesn't have to be exactly 500, but be sure that you are very close to that number. Okay, so how to access college supplement essays. This is important because I can tell you in my years of experience, there has been so many times where a student has gone through and completed the Common Application, but then they forgot about these college essays, and the application doesn't get submitted. So you can click all the way through, but if you have not completed this component, you will not actually have your application roll over to the university, and it will not be reviewed. All too many times I've had phone calls come mid-December when we're releasing those early application decisions. You may have heard, oh, your friend got into this institution or they got denied from another, and you're wondering, where's my decision? Well, you didn't get one because you didn't actually click all the way through and answer all of the questions. So you will start by finding and locating your college supplement essays by the dashboard tab. From there, you're going to select show more details and scroll down to see. You can see here, at least for Linn University, it says one required question, one optional question. But we know that optional does not mean optional. It means that you are going to take the time to complete that question and write a thorough answer. I am going to go through and show you some examples again once we're done with the PowerPoint, because I want to be sure that you know how to locate this. You would be surprised. So with the students who then don't complete their Common Application, they're forced to roll their application into the regular round because they didn't follow through with this. That means that you don't receive your decision from the university until mid-March. So that will delay your plans entirely as far as weighing in your options and possibly visiting campus, doing more research. So this is very important that you know where it is and you know where to complete it. Okay, so next is, what are admission committees looking for? I expect to read a piece it's broken down sort of in two ways, the academic side and the personal side of you. When I'm reading the piece, I expect it to be first and foremost grammatically correct. university level writing. This is another place where I need to confirm that you can come to university and hit the ground running. The last thing I want is to offer admission to a student who is not writing at university level, and then the English literature professor comes knocking on my door and says, who offered admission to this student? They are not prepared. They do not have the educational foundation. So grammatically correct, and I need to see that it's university level. Please be clear and concise, and develop your thought all the way through. Again, the appropriate length. So I really want to hit this home that if it says 250 words, really be sure that you are taking advantage of that space. And then do your personal research. So we can see if you've taken the time to do that or not, or if you're just giving us blanket things that are very generic that you can find from the first page of a university website. The personal side. So these writing supplements, I think essentially are going to tell me more about who you are. I want to get to know you on a different level. So don't be afraid to reveal your personality and your sense of humor. These things are going to go a long way on a university campus. You might be dynamic in the classroom, someone who drives conversation. But if you aren't going to be involved in our clubs, if you aren't going to be in the cafeteria mixing and mingling with other students, or maybe participating in our cultural events, that's not going to be the way that the university is going to thrive, and it's going to maintain its sort of reputation, if you will, or a place that other students want to go. So we are looking for students who have depth in their personality and a sense of humor. We're also looking for a student who understands and has their moral compass, their integrity is aligned with the university's mission or vision. Some universities, they may be religious oriented, and so you'll want to be sure to really read through that. And some are not, and they have a very different sort of vision in the direction that they're going. It might be very innovative. I want to see that you maybe have a willingness to take risks, or there's this likelihood to get involved. As I mentioned before, I want to know that you're going to join the Ultimate Frisbee team, and that you're going to be social and taking risks as far as putting yourself out there, getting to know new people, and really growing, not only academically, but personally. Okay, so I'm going to show you some sample essays. And the first one that I have here, and I'm using Lynn just because this is the content that I have access to at this point, right? So Lynn's, this is from last year. We have updated our college supplement, but obviously we haven't received applications yet since the August 1st deadline. So the writing supplement question is, why did you choose to apply to Linn University? So 150 words. So we know that it's important that we get as close to that 150 words as possible. So take a moment to just read through this. Okay. So I think the first thing that you were going to notice is that it's short. It's very, very short. She tells me very generic things about our location, and that she's a huge fan of the warm weather and the beach, which to me is not really telling that she wants to be at my institution. Like, of course, the weather is fantastic here. Of course, the beaches are beautiful. That's why I live here. But that doesn't tell me why you want to be at my university. So this essay is coming from an applicant in Germany, and she was denied. So here is my next sample for you. Again, the same question applies, which is, why did you choose to apply to Linn University? 150 words. This is a little bit longer, so just take a second to read through. Okay. All right. So the first thing that I think that we notice with this, so again, this is an international applicant. She is from Russia. So if you see some typos, Know that I am forgiving. I'm an international counselor and very aware of the fact that English may be the second language for these students. But in this case, I think as a whole, she's not coming from a high school that's an American or IB school. She's coming from a national high school in Russia as well. And so that is telling of her access to education for education for English. She goes through and talks a little bit about her job, a little bit about like her personality, her drive for social entrepreneurship, commitment to lifelong learning, and how a specific institute at Linn University, the Watson Institute, can really help her do that. So she's done some personal research and she knows exactly what she wants to do. This tells me a little bit more about her, that she sort of envisions herself web traveling or traveling around the world through her screen. And I think in the midst of COVID right now, we can all very much relate to that because we're all grounded. And so this student, she was admitted specifically into our Watson Institute. Okay, so now we're gonna talk a little bit about the questions that universities present and what are they really looking for in this. So you're going to see a lot of sort of generic questions. Why this university? Why this major? In this case, the first one we're going to look at is to tell us about your interest in the major that you selected. So 200 words is the maximum. This university is really prompting you to geek out about your intended major. They want you to tell us why you're so excited about this. So do you maybe in calculus have some unfinished business? Are you planning to get a jump on your Hollywood career with a major in creative production? Your goals could be intellectual, professional, somewhere in between, but your reasoning should be grounded in what that university has to offer. So 200 words isn't a lot of space, but that doesn't mean that you can't offer a detailed response. Students will have to get ambitious and answer this, but be sure that you're answering sort of two key questions, excuse me. Why do you absolutely love the intended major? And why is this university the ideal place that you can study it? So think about what excites you about the university department. Is it the professors? Is it the class, the guest speakers that you've discovered when you were doing your research? Is it the alumni, the notable alumni and some cool things that they have done? Dig deep to show how that university will help you achieve your goals. The next question, and so this, I want to bring attention to the fact that your college essay questions could be very different. They could be short answer, maybe 2 or 3 words. It could be a drop-down box at this point where you're selecting from 3 pre-populated answers. So they don't all have to be that sort of daunting 500-word thing that you need to plan well in advance. It could be a little bit shorter and it could be a bit more fun. So the next question is to answer these one words or answer them in one word or phrases or brief sentences. There's no right or wrong answer. This university says, we hope you'll enjoy working on this section as much as they will enjoy reading it. So 200 characters total, which gives you about 25 to 30 words to answer each one. Now, I've abbreviated this list because it just didn't fit appropriately in our presentation today, but you get a sense that they really want to get to know you on a more fun level. Again, universities want to know how you are going to fit in, if you are going to thrive in their community, if you're going to be someone who's going to start a new club and be enthusiastic and someone that other people want to be around. Like, is your enthusiasm contagious? So describe yourself in 3 words or less, right? What song should they be listening to while reading your application? What is one dish that you would cook our admissions team? Like, I would love that. What is your favorite quote and who is it by? What is the top thing on your bucket list? Are you like so excited to go skydiving? Do you want to go bungee jumping? It could be that you want to learn how to deep sea fish or something. But really, I think the best way to do this is to be honest. So what are you most grateful for? What do you spend too much time doing? And it's okay, like, to really share, because we're all human. And I think that sometimes on paper, we're looking very much at your mark sheets, at your testing, but this humanizes you as someone that we could say, wow, they're a really good kid. Wow, they have a great personality. This would be so fun. I would love to have them here. So in explaining this, it's going to give you a chance to, so I have this from my previous one. Sorry about that. So really with these, I think the best way is to maybe brainstorm some answers that you may have. Please disregard this side on the right side. Sorry about that. But it's a good opportunity for you to sort of brainstorm, think of some fun things. Don't dwell on it. I think the best thing that you can do is follow your gut, because it says that there's no right or wrong answer. Just go through, answer them all quickly. Make sure that you have some variety in your answers, again, so you're showing a different side of yourself for each one of them. But don't spend too much time dwelling on this or providing answers that you think we want to hear. If your favorite song that you think we should be listening to while reviewing your application is like a heavy metal song, or if it's a rap song, list it. I think that's awesome. And I think that that really shows a different side of you. Okay, I'm actually going to pull out of my screen here for a second and show you something that I think is incredibly helpful. See if I can hide my controls again. So I have found this website, and if some of you can take a screenshot of this, it is fantastic. So it goes through the supplemental essays for it must be everyone for the Common Application, and it goes through what the question is and how you should be answering it. So I'm going to scroll down and show you two. Let's see here. Yep, my first one is going to be Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark is located in Portland, Oregon. And so, so they're actually, if you see here, this note at the top, they are working on updating this for 2020, 2021. As you all know, the Common Application went live as of August 1st. And so it's only been 16 days. That's not a ton of time to go through the hundreds of universities that are on Common App, but they are in the process of revising this list. Many of the questions will stay the same. At my previous university, our writing or college supplement questions stayed the same for 3 years, and then we would update them. So many will be the same. Some have updated. For example, Lynn, this year, we did change ours up. Okay, so Lewis and Clark, here's their question here. Talks about who they are, private college with a public conscience and global reach. They celebrate their strengths and collaborative scholarship. So let's see, in one paragraph, tell us why you're interested in attending Lewis and Clark and how you will impact our campus. Answer in 50 to 500 words. So now when they give you a range like that, again, I would say answer the question sufficiently. If you fall somewhere in the middle, if it's 300 words, let's say, that's fine. If you utilize the full space, that's okay as well. But try to not just do the minimum, which would be the 50-word answer, because that would tell me that you're not that serious about the university. You're not really demonstrating a ton of interest by doing a lot of research. So somewhere in the middle of that word count. So it goes through and it says it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a community essay and a why essay in one. So it goes through to explain that this essay is an opportunity for you to explain what drew you to Lewis and Clark, how you might bridge the gap between your current community involvement and your future involvement at Lewis and Clark. So maybe it says, perhaps you want to make your mark on campus by bringing the best whoopie pies to campus has ever seen for the bake sales. So this really goes through and helps you sort of think about the essays, the essay question, and really what they're looking for. So the next one I want to show you, I'm just going to show you two, is Loyola Marymount University. This one is located in California, and they are a Jesuit institution. So let's see. Okay, so they have their general question where you can see, state briefly why you're wishing to attend LMU. That's a pretty basic question, 500 words, right? And it even says, you've probably seen this before, the why essay, right? Clocking in at 500 words. But what I really want to show you is they have some other sort of unique things. They ask you to read through 3 statements at LMU, and they want you to select one that you find to be most interesting and most thought-provoking and answer that question. And this one is about 500 words. So it goes through each prompt here for you. So prompt 1 is about Pope Francis and his 2015 address. And then it helps you sort of debunk what they're looking for here, what you should be thinking about in answering this question. It goes through each one. So second prompt, they're at a Jesuit institution, so it ties in Dr. King and what he's suggesting. And then prompt 3, that their motto is being Jesuit, educating men and women for others. Okay, so I'm gonna pull out of that now. And then back to the Common App. And you know what, I'll put this link in the chat for everyone right now, so you can access this. Okay. Anna, can you still see my screen? Everything okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you can still see it, yeah.
Thank you guys. Alrighty, so for the next thing, I want to just go back to be sure that you understand where these are located. So I've populated 3 schools. These all happen to be Next Genius institutions as well. I know that you heard from Fred Silva, a dear friend of mine from Northwestern University in Qatar earlier. And I've listed Syracuse University just because my home is Syracuse, New York. So when you select, you see Linn is populated as an institution. You're going to select more details. And again, you can scroll down here and you can see our questions this year have changed. So I was mentioning before that some institutions will simply have a drop box. So let's scroll all the way down to the writing piece here. And it's going to ask you to answer our question in 150 words. We have found, as I mentioned, this demonstrated interest, that students who did the bare minimum here, 1 or 2 sentence, their likelihood to, if offered admission, their likelihood to matriculate or to attend was somewhere around 2%. Students who took the time and completed this and submitted the full 150 words and really put a lot of thought into this answer, if they were offered admission, their likelihood to matriculate escalated to somewhere around 62%. So it's a really staggering statistic for us that really tells us, again, that you're serious, that you're interested. And so that's why a lot of us will quickly sneak ahead, look at this to see if you're serious, and then go back and look at your mark sheet, your testing if the university is a testing required institution. So Linn this year has these drop downs. So they're asking new ideas and projects sometimes distract me from previous ones. And so again, there's no sort of right or wrong answers to these, but you'll go through and you'll select the one that you think aligns with you most. The next one is setbacks don't discourage me. And so if you think about what they're trying to get at here in these questions, the next one is I've been obsessed with a certain idea or project for a short time, but later lost interest. There's sort of a theme, right? I'm a hard worker. The next one is I often set a goal, but later choose to pursue a different one. What we are looking for in these questions is resiliency. We're trying to get a sense of if you are someone who can start something and then follow through with it. If things become difficult and there's a concept that you don't understand in the classroom, are you going to sort of get frustrated and then maybe give up? Or are you going to double down, find the professor for office hours, seek out tutoring from other students, and get through that class? So the next one is I finish whatever I begin. And so again, we're looking for students who are going to come to Linn and who are going to successfully finish their degree. And so every institution will have something a little bit different. Your writing supplements may look like something as simple as these drop-down boxes. Okay, so let's see, before I move on to Lynn, the last thing I do want to mention, and I'm not quite sure, is that I have seen some mistakes, some common sort of errors with the writing supplements. I would say first it's that the student uses that space to talk about a project or something that they're using it as an opportunity to tie in something else that they haven't had a chance to chat about, but they don't answer the question and they don't tie it all together. So that to me is, okay, you just sort of selfishly wanted to talk about this and disregarded our question. So be sure that whatever you're taking an opportunity to highlight, you still answer the question and tie it all together. Another mistake I see in this writing section is students will use it to explain a poor grade on their mark sheet, or maybe why they don't have substantial extracurricular activities, or an excuse for why their standardized testing may be lower. This to me is an ultimate no-no. I generally tend to draw a very hard line with students like this, particularly because it tells me that you are not capable of pausing and looking inward and being accountable. You, rather than saying, okay, I didn't earn a good grade on my mark sheet in this particular class or this particular exam, you are pointing outward and you're sort of placing blame on someone else. That to me is never the type of student that I want on my campus. And so please avoid using that space as an opportunity to explain a sort of gap or a shortcoming. If you feel that there's something that you want to bring attention to, simply writing to the university representative is a great way to do that. You can also use the additional information session to maybe talk about that, but be sure that you are accountable and that you take ownership for whatever it might be, because placing it on anyone else is not a good way to put your best foot forward. Okay, so I'm going to pull out of this for a second and stop sharing. So before we move into the Linn University stuff, I wanted to see if we have any questions. Devesh, are they able to take themselves off of mute?
No, they cannot. So they've typed it in the Q&A feature here, and
Okay.
maybe we can take them one by one.
Yeah, let's see. So if anyone has any questions, please direct them to the Q&A now. I'll give a minute or so, and if not, then we can move on to a brief overview of Linn University.
Yes. I can see that the questions have started coming in. So what are your recommendations if the supplement essay prompt is similar to the CommonApp essay prompt in some cases?
Yeah, that's disappointing, right? I would say to again, try to brainstorm something that you haven't already talked about, a different side of you, but again, tying it all together, and be sure that you answer the question, even if it is a little bit disappointing because they're very similar. See if you can tie in something else that we don't know about you, whether it was an internship that you did, maybe it was your experience doing Bollywood dance. If that was it, that's great. Just try to show another side, showcase another side of you, and answer the question, even if it is a little boring. Yeah.
Rosa, what are a couple of insights about how to take the why us kind of essay and why this major kind of an essay?
Yeah, so the why a specific major, I'll start with that one. Let's say you have an interest in like aviation. I would specifically talk about when you were a kid, what like fascinated you about aviation? Were you always staring up at the sky? Did you always have this sort of adrenaline, like junkie piece of you that you were chasing? Did you just love that? Was your grandfather a pilot? Do you want to follow in his footsteps? And I think tying that into this university offers this major. I've looked at your department and you have professors who have been doing this for 30 years. They have specific experience in these techniques. And that's something I'm so excited to learn. So talk about how you got to your enthusiasm for indicating that major, and then how that university has specific, unique, cool things that you want to learn. And that's why you want to be in that major at that institution. So if you can tie in all of those things, the why, the university, my best advice is to avoid talking about the location. So coming from California and now living in South Florida, where it is tropical paradise, I will put in the notes if a student simply talks about the location as beautiful weather, palm trees, and beaches. My colleagues know, I'll say they're just chasing sunshine and palm trees. So if they're asking about why this university, get a sense of the YouTube videos that are posted. Is there, for Lynn, I'll use as an example, our president is, he's in and out of his helicopter, he's flying over the ocean, like he's a cool guy, he's in a band. And so I think getting a sense of like, this university has life, it has character. It's not just, some brick walls, and it's an opportunity for me to grow like as a whole. I think really doing some research, again, joining those social media groups. So find them on Instagram, Facebook, that kind of thing, because you'll see a different side of them than something that may be strictly marketing approved on their first webpage of the website.
Okay, right. How can a student show that he or she is ready to take risks?
You can actually just, I think, fairly articulating that. I have lived in a very comfortable home with my loving parents and my siblings who've driven me nuts for the last 4 years. But I'm really excited to go and to put myself out there and to learn how to speak Russian. I'm really excited to grow and develop, and I want to learn how to swim. And it could be, just something very simple that you're willing to take risks to be uncomfortable. And so maybe just do some research again and see what kind of cool clubs they have, whether it's a Quidditch club that you think is kind of cool. You're into Harry Potter, and just go ahead and list that out and say like, making friends has been a little bit of a challenge for me. It could be as simple as that. But I plan to sort of push myself out of my comfort zone and join these clubs so I can get to know different people from different cultures. And that tells me that you're willing to take risks to put yourself in uncomfortable situations.
Okay. Any final tips before we move on to the final section of this webinar?
Yeah, I think like my final tip is to maybe chat with other students, maybe get a sense of the professors there. If you can attend virtual sessions for the university before you answer these questions, I think that'll really help you get a feel for what's important to them. And then I guess my final tip would be to avoid trying to write something that you think that we want to hear. We enjoy students who are candid and honest, but arrogance is never something that we're excited to read. I understand that it is challenging to sort of brag about yourself for the first time ever, really, and put your best foot forward, but do that in a way that's classy, that's tactful, and that doesn't come off as arrogant.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Super. So I think we have about 5-7 minutes. Please share something about Lynn as well.
Sure. Okay. So I'll start, Anna, and then I'll actually, before we do that, Anna, do you want to tell us a little bit about, well, first you can introduce yourself. Sorry, because I jumped ahead.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your experience in writing these essays. When did you start? How many revisions did you make? How many people did you have read through them before you actually hit submit?
Okay. So hi everyone, my name's Anna Lopez. I am now coming in Linn for this fall as a sophomore, and I am studying psychology. So first of all, I want you guys to know that I'm kind of like a complete controlling person. So like for my essays questions, I actually, as some of you had this question about whether if the common application and the university essay could be the same one, it could kind of be repeating yourself. So that's why I actually chose 2 different prompts to answer before actually submitting it. And this was because I might have thought, I started really early on. I started in around before going out for summer for like May, around May or June. So as I started, I chose 2 prompts that I thought would be good for me to write some like topics that I was really interested in, and I knew that I had a lot of comments about it, you know, and I felt really comfortable. So that would be the first thing for you to do. Just find some topics and prompts that make you feel comfortable talking about, and not something that you don't understand or that you are not really in your comfort zone writing about, because then it would be harder for you to actually, you know, start it. And sometimes you will feel like it's more of like homework or something that you really don't like writing about, when it really should be about something that you're passionate about and something that you actually want to write about when it comes to college essays, so that when admissions counselors are reading them, they can actually, you know, feel your energy and your passion through your words. So basically I chose those topics, and then I started writing. Like I set myself like an hour or half an hour each day to write about on these essays. I really didn't push myself that much, because I knew that I just wanted to get little by little done, and then go back and review these what I had written. So I started with my first essay, and I started writing like, I don't know, like a couple of sentences per day. And then when I got like a paragraph done, I would go back and read it all over again and maybe do some changes. If I didn't like something, I would switch things up a little bit. And then that's how I went on. And I didn't really make anyone read my essay until I had them done. Just because I wanted to get it done like myself first, and then revise it later. So I actually had 3 different people revise my essay. So first I had my mom. She knew how stressful this process was for me, and she actually had been an English teacher before, so she knew a lot about grammar, and she could spot some things that I didn't really see myself. And she mostly corrected my grammar, not really my my structure or what I actually had to say in the essay. So then I took IB, the IB program in high school. So I went to my IB English high level teacher so that she could revise it again. And the same thing happened. Like she just corrected some structure errors, or like maybe made me switch up a paragraph before the other one. But she didn't really tell me to change anything about what I had to say, like any of the content. They didn't really tell me to change anything, and that's the way it should be. Like I think that personally, I really like that they didn't tell me to change any of the content, because it is something that it was my essay application, and I really appreciated that they took the time to help me out, but they really didn't tell me to change anything of what I had to say. And then the last person that I actually had my essay revised was my counselor, my high school counselor for college applications in my high school. And yeah, she didn't really have anything much to say about it. She really liked it, and maybe just some commas here and there, but honestly, like I already had 2 people go over it before, so she didn't really have much corrections anyway. But yeah, as I made the final twitches and whatnot, I finally felt like it was perfect. And I really think that you should get as much revisions as possible as you wish, until you feel comfortable about what you're sending in. You need to feel confident about it, and not put like another thing to be stressing over, because it's not going to be worth it. You need to send something that you're really proud of, so that you feel confident and comfortable sending it in. And yeah, basically I had 2 essays that I had written, and I ended up only sending 1, of course. So that really helped me also to put in more effort into both of them and actually deciding which one I thought was best. And that made my decision, that made me feel more confident about the decision of which college essay to send in.
Awesome, thank you. So for those of you who don't know, because Anna is very modest, she is one of our presidential scholars. She's our top scholarship recipient at Linn. And so she's obviously above and beyond. She wrote 2 personal essays, as you can hear, before she chose this. But the important thing is to hear that she had them revised by and edited by 3 different set of eyes. And so take advantage of those around you. Certainly Devesh, Niraj, you guys have an abundance of resources in front of you with Next Genius. And so don't be afraid to ask them to review it, because when we look at something 3, 4, 5 times, we tend to miss that there's 2 ands in a row. Or for example, in my PowerPoint, I looked at this 15 times yesterday, but I missed that there is that section that's in there wrong. And that happens if you don't have a second set of eyes. So I can't emphasize that enough. So thank you, Anna. Devesh, is it okay if I quickly try to answer some of these questions before I pivot into the Linn?
Rosa, actually, we just have about 15 minutes before we have to start the next webinar. So
no problem.
Maybe I'll just type out your email ID in the chat box, and these people can reach out to you. Meanwhile, you can just
please do. Yeah, there's a couple good ones I'd like to address. Okay, so I'll reshare my screen here. And so now we're going to pivot and chat a little bit about Linn University. And I'll hide this. Be sure you can still hear me. Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to start with a video here.
Fighting Knights are strong, bold, unstoppable. We believe the book on higher education Fighting Knights are strong, bold, unstoppable. We believe the book on higher education is still being written, and much of it not in books at all. Education demands bold, persistent experimentation. And as much as we are teachers, we are also students. A community of thinkers, challengers, innovators. We represent the face of a new generation that will lead a new world. A world where there is no impossible. We come from everywhere and believe we can go anywhere. We are Lin University, and we speak the universal language of possible. This place was built from determination and the power of curiosity, the stuff of great artists, pioneers, and entrepreneurs. Welcome to the gateway of why and the proving ground for asking, why not? If you have the belief, if you have the dream, if you have the determination, you're Linn.
All right, so Linn's campus, we are located in one of the country's most strategic international gateways. It's a thriving economy with really diverse industries. South Florida is a major international hub for trade, finance, healthcare. You'll see a lot of agriculture. Our tourism industry, as some of you may know, is very popular. We are nestled between Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami. So Miami being the furthest away, about 45 minutes south of us, Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach being the closest. The fact that we are surrounded by 3 major cities means that these are home to large national global employers such as ADT Security, American Airlines, AutoNation, Carnival Cruise Lines is really big, Lennar, excuse me. But Forbes has identified South Florida as the 12th fastest growing metro area with a 7.37% projected wage growth. That just means that there is a tremendous amount of opportunity that surrounds us. We are not located in the middle of nowhere. We are in this thriving area where there is a ton to do, and there's a lot of internship opportunities that are easily accessible to our students. We are very close to the beach. It's about less than 5 minutes. The beaches here are clean, they are pristine. I spend a lot of my time there, whether it's reading, writing, surfing, or paddleboarding. So if you're any kind of outdoorsy or like to take advantage of being able to ride a bicycle, go for a walk or a run, South Florida and our location and access to the ocean and these beautiful walkways along the water is pretty awesome. Our weather here is fantastic year round. The summer months do get quite hot. But I know some of you, that's nothing new for you. But if you are home during the summer months, you wouldn't even really experience that heat. I personally love the heat. So Linn is home to about 3,200 students. So it's 2,400 students for our undergrad. And then when you factor in master's, doctoral, it brings us to about 3,200 students. We are on the more intimate side for a university, so a little bit of a smaller size. Your class sizes will be anywhere from 18 to 22 students. So the professors will know you, they'll know you by name, they'll give you their personal cell phone number. You are going to make good friends with those around you and develop relationships that will put you in a position to get that internship, because maybe the professor, that staff member that you've befriended, came from the industry side, you've developed a connection with them, and they picked up the phone and called their friend who still works at that major company to get you in for an internship. The other piece at Linn is that you're never going to be a number. Students will all know each other and you kind of become a big international family. We are #1 for most international students in the region. I would say, so coming from my experience working at another institution, Linn is truly international. There's over 100 different countries represented in our population. Domestic students come from 47 different states, but I think a lot of universities tend to be dominated. They say they're international, but they're dominated by students just coming from China and India. And that is not the case at Linn. In your classroom, you will be seated next to someone from Zimbabwe, Colombia, Brazil. It is fun. And I have never learned so much from the students and the staff around me. So I think that from that alone, you'll grow because it will put you outside of your comfort zone and hopefully put you in a position to make some new friends, learn about others' culture, and that will help you grow not only academically, personally, and professionally, so as a whole. And then I had mentioned that we are located between 3 major cities. Okay, so 100 different countries represented, the 47 different states. It is an 18-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So it's a 106-acre campus with 7 different ponds or lakes on our campus. It's absolutely beautiful. All right, so you may have heard, Linn is an iPad campus. So when you arrive for orientation on your first day on campus, you are handed your own iPad. It is given to you when you graduate at the end of your 3 or 4 years. That is your iPad to keep. The benefit of doing this is that, you know, the University One is continuously embracing technology and new ideas that will enhance your ability to learn. But with this iPad, everything is here for you. So you aren't going to have to go out and buy books, because the books have all, by the professors, they've all been put onto the iPad into one central app for you. this is significant savings for students. I would spend anywhere from $500 to $800 a semester, that's US dollars a semester, on books. And at the end of the semester, when I would go to sell them back to the same bookstore, they were barely marked up, barely damaged in any way. I would maybe be lucky to get $5 US back. So it's really a significant sort of cost that students get to save. There's several apps on your iPad as well. Something as simple as creating flashcards, but there's apps that'll pertain to your residence hall that'll tell you if the washer and dryer are open, so you can take your laundry down and you don't have to wait in a line kind of thing. You can pay through it as well. There are apps that will centralize all jobs on campus. And so you can scroll through if you wanted to work in our marketing department, start targeting maybe working in the library to pick up an extra job on campus. So you can see here, the other cool thing about these 50+ classroom materials in iBooks is that you're getting more up-to-date information. So each year, if the professor goes through and makes a significant update on the book or even a slight edit, they can make that and they hit submit and it auto-populates to your iPad. So now you have everything here to scroll through, and you don't have to go and buy the latest edition. So you can see we have a list of our majors on the right side. There's several more, 48 undergraduate majors, 34 minors. Our 3-year accelerated bachelor degree, it allows you to take extra classes at no extra cost to complete a 4-year degree in just 3 years. So it saves about $50,000 US, but you can get in and out in that 3 years, or we have an option for you if you're really ambitious to do a 3+1. So it's a 3-year program for your bachelor's and a 1-year program for your master's degree. So with this, in your first semester at Linn, you would take the regular amount, 5 classes. If you do well, you have to earn a certain GPA. Then you can pivot into our accelerated program where you'll take 6 classes each semester. So it's hard work, it's ambitious, but it's significant cost savings, and you can earn your degree in a much faster timeline. Quickly here, we have over, 340 different employers have hired Linn students for internships in the last academic year alone. 590 students, they participated in 4 credit internships in the last academic year. So while you're out there and you're working 20 hours a week, let's say at Visa International, you are actually earning Linn credit, because we understand that having that hands-on experiential learning is arguably more important than anything that you'll learn in a classroom. So many students will graduate with at least 2 to 3 tangible work experiences on their resume. Last year alone, it was over 82% of our students were either employed or in graduate school within 1 year. So the top employers you can see are Apple, Marriott International is very close by to us. Walt Disney World, I think a couple of you have heard of before, and Tesla is popular as well. Because we are an iPad campus, you'll see Apple as one of our top employers for our students. Okay, and if you would like to take a picture of my contact information here, if that's a little bit easier for you, please go ahead. Do not hesitate to email me with your questions. I know some of you had some good questions about the writing supplement, whether it's okay to talk about maybe a mental health issue in your writing supplement. And I'm happy to really have a